Hey, so we talked about a lot of stuff here on the channel, and we will keep talking and talking until my writer has a mental break. Then we might be delayed. But I'm sure that won't happen, especially when we get to watch raiders die horribly in our kill boxes. Tell you what, because I like y'all, I'm going to share some of my favorite styles of kill boxes, or just ways to lead raiders to their doom. So yeah, that's what we will do. Usually we'd cut to the start of the video by now. Oh god. So we got the classic kill shoot or corridor. Anyone who is familiar with RimWorld designs is familiar with this style of kill box. Set up a line of traps for the poor raiders to walk through and slow them down, using some sandbags in between to help with that, and have them come out into an open corridor. No cover, wounds on their legs, you are leading them to the grinder, so to speak. Strength wise, this is great for the early and mid game, easy enough to set up, and you can always be sure enemies for the most part will go through it due to the AI noticing an opening and take it right in your sniper's line of sight. Downside, you are gonna have trouble once raiders come in hordes. Still a classic for a good reason. So, for this next one, don't let Peter find out your plans, because we are gonna go full Mr. Burns and release the hounds. Now, this kill box is going to be similar to the previous setup, but instead of the enemy coming out to snipers, you instead unleash a horde of angry, and I presume bloodthirsty animals on the raiders. For this, I recommend any animals that can be trained to attack, but notable examples for attack animals are rhinos, elephants, canines, and even tortoises. It just came to my attention, but apparently tortoises can't be trained to fight anymore. Huh. Well, that bums me out. Now, the biggest benefit of this design is you won't be risking your pawns. You will have your medic get training they need, and animal tamers get a lot of their training. You might even be able to finally find a use for that one thrombo that keeps eating all your plants. So for this one, it's less a kill box per se, but it's important if you like to go under mountains. The biggest concern for any mountain base is the risk of infestations. For this, I recommend first building your base with 2 or 3 tile wide corridors with single door choke points. Setting up like this means in the event of infestation, your pawns can move to a new position and flank or even lead the insects to their own ambush. Keep in mind, this only works if you have multiple corridors around your base. Oh, and set up spots for your pawns to not walk around randomly. Don't want one guy to walk a wrong way and get eaten by insects.
It's time to go to heaven, my child. Come on, Zach, let's go to heaven.
I suppose if you want a method to really stick it to the bug's corridors, stone everything but the furniture and floors, and add some Molotovs, I think you can see where I'm going with this. Just seal off the areas you threw the Molotovs in and let the fire take care of the rest. Better to lose a room or two to flames than an entire base to bugs. Okay, so let's say you don't have a good budget for these fancy traps. Let's try for a DIY simple trap, the roof. Did you know a single wall or column can hold a lot of roof all on its own? Well, it can. Did you also know if you drop a roof on someone, it's pretty painful? See where I'm going with this? All you need to do is set up a single wall, go for a wooden one for this one, damage it a bit, and make sure there are no other things around it where a roof could be held up. And then set up a roof area just around the pillar. When the enemies show up, target the support beam and drop the roof on them. It's actually a surprisingly good way to take down enemies, either kill outright or just cripple them. Obviously, the bad thing about this is setup, timing, and how it's one-shot. Though you can put some IED traps in front and behind the pillar. If enemies use it for cover, the trap goes off, damages the wall, and you can trigger it that way. Maybe not the best, but it's a cheap solution for a problem you will always have. Plus, it's just funny to see what crazy damage they take from the roof collapse. Now, this is my writer's favorite type of kill box, the semicircle of death. For this, set up a semicircle open area, have only one entrance to get in, and then fill the edge walls with nothing but turrets. Though do make sure the radius is equal to or lesser than the turrets you want to use for this one. Boy, I would not want to be the guy in the back of the conga line here, as the people up front get a face full of bullets. While satisfying, there are issues. You will be spending a lot of resources on refilling ammo, not to mention rebuilding turrets, since they have a habit of going off like a firecracker with a few good hits. Plus, there is the power issues, and the issue of sappers and drop pods circumventing the turret kill squad. But other than that, it's great. Plus, you don't need to micromanage too much. Nothing like butchering my enemies to make me feel better about myself. Whoa, hey guys, caught me playing RimWorld. While you're here, mind smashing that subscribe button? It really helps the channel. Or leave a comment, that's cool too. Of course, if you are feeling really nice, support us all on Patreon. The money goes to a good cause, helps me pay my team of writers, animators, voice actors, and turrets to hold back the inevitable robot uprising. Anyway, back to the show. Time now for an amazing kill box that would make Jigsaw himself proud. First off, you need a big maze, or at least a huge winding corridor. Second, a fast side passage away from the maze with a door that lets pawns get the entrance ASAP. Oh, and the freezer units, lots of them in the front. Basically what you do is pump tons of cold air into the maze from your end, keep the entrance an open one, that way enemy pawns will go into the maze, and thanks to sandbags and blank spots, their movement will be anything but brisk. When about most of the raid goes in, you have your pawn on standby at the front, build a wall in front of the entrance. Those AC units will now be pumping cold air into the maze. The more you have, the faster you got for freezing, which will slow them down more and more. I like using ice a little more than fire for this, since I can get the bodies and loot easily without burning it all, but hey, this setup is easy enough to set up for heat damage over freezing. Joking and memeing aside, it's not the most practical of kill boxes, but sometimes it's not about the practicality, it's about sending a message to your enemies, and this message is you aren't in a winter wonderland when you come raiding me. So, next up is the Tribal Killbox. It's not a killbox for tribals, it's a killbox you can use in a tribal playthrough or a lower tech kind of playthrough. What with stuff like Vanilla Expanded, Medieval Vikings, and Classical. This one focuses again on funneling enemies to you, but rather than turrets, it's angry savages with melee weaponry. With this setup, it's a 3-to-1 battle for your enemy, not a good time for them. Naturally, we will use sandbags for this, since the AI can't stay still on them to shoot you from afar. All they can do is go forward. I love exploiting AI in games, just like another evil RimWorld player who sips tea. So how about something a little more complicated and over the top that no one who is sane would try? That's why I got my writer and footage gatherers to do it. Also, Reddit user Archeids, who decided to show off some mental powers for this one. Basically, it's your standard corridor setup, but with a twist. Open up some of the area and use the flash storm power in that one spot, since there is only one unroofed spot. Well, they say lightning doesn't strike twice. It does now. You get the benefit of fire burning your opponent with the corridor, the lightning raining down on any poor raider popping out to attack us. Oh, and if you have the berserk power, you can trigger that on someone in the crowd to slow down and sow more chaos. It is great. This is overly complicated, like some sort of Rube Goldberg machine, but I have to tip my non-existent hat to you, Archeids. Cool idea indeedy. Alright, so you know what the biggest problem with these kill boxes is? After all, we do have raiders coming in from the sky. How about instead of a kill box for raiders to come in, everything is a kill box. For this, simply make your base a bunch of open square rooms connected to each other like a hive and just put turrets everywhere. Got a crafting room? Turret. How about the research room? Turret. The throne room? Turret that up. You got a turret. You get a turret. Everybody gets a turret, like some sort of cross like Engineer and Oprah. Okay, so obviously the biggest issue for this one is that A, power, B, resources, and C, bullets flying and you losing your stuff. Well, better than your life, I guess. This is more viable with mods, or at the very least, a huge barn full of boomalopes for chem fuel. Now for this one, it's going to be unorthodox and pretty much illegal in at least 6 different RimWorlds and the state of Kentucky and North Dakota, but what about harnessing the power of insects? For this one, you need A, lot of mountain tiles, B, a lot of digging, make a tunnel that carves through the mountain, C, a big wall, set up a huge wall so that the only way in is through that mountain pathway, oh, and doors at the end, trust me on this. After that, just set yourself up as self-sufficient and wait for Randy to summon an insect hive. If you can keep them from getting into your base by having them not break down the doors and they give up or are too far away to aggro, you now have a natural defense against raids. This is where mods like Better Infestations might actually be good for this type of kill box, since the hives will go out and hunt other animals and grow so long as you leave them alone and are too far away for them to care about you after raiders make them mad, you might be alright. I mean, I say that, but that's until they get too big and you have to reenact scenes from Starship Troopers.